Part 106. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1061. 10 days passed in a blink of an eye. Delta. Wu Yu estimated that those who rushed up were now at the 6th level, or even the 7th level. He stayed at the 2nd level, on the one hand because the flame gold pearl appeared in the 2nd level more than 10 days ago, and on the other hand, Emperor Yu insisted on finding the ancient Emperor Dao Palace. Because he felt that the faster the flame gold pearl was obtained, the more likely it was to be obtained. According to his understanding of the ancient emperor, it might take a long time, or even half a year to decide the final winner. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Diamond Suit. So it is not necessarily urgent. His point of view is that only if they become stronger, they may have a chance, otherwise it will be like Wu Yu's first time. The flame gold pearl was right in front of him, but he couldn't get it. Or like the second time, he could clearly snatch it, but encountered Emperor Yu and could only hide. In fact, Wu Yu also agreed with his view that strength is indeed the key. When other princes and princesses were so anxious that they wanted to run to the 9th level immediately, he was able to suppress his impulse, lower his goal, and stay in the 2nd level of the Soul Tower. It was really precious. There were very few people in the 2nd level. On the one hand, it was because many of the lower Yuan-Shen realms could not reach it, and on the other hand, it was because the stronger ones went to higher places. There were really many strong people coming in this time. Wu Yu's current level was almost the bottom. The only difference between Wu Yu and Emperor Li was his view of the ancient Emperor Dao Palace. To be honest, Wu Yu was not willing to believe that this place would be here, nor did he believe that it would have the effect they said. There was a vast sea of fire ahead. This 2nd level world of fire looked the same everywhere, and it felt a bit like spinning around in place. This aimless search could easily make people lose patience, at least Chu Fengjiao and the others thought it was meaningless. In fact, most people have the same mentality as them. No matter which level, it is a desolate and empty world. To find a tiny flame gold pearl, there is really no hope. How did the ancient emperor arrange it here? Chu Fengjiao said helplessly. It's all a test for Emperor Yu. Hold on, don't give up, you will definitely succeed. The emperor must be the one chosen by the ancient emperor, otherwise we wouldn't have encountered the flame gold pearl twice in a row, and others haven't seen it once. If Wu Yu was stronger, maybe we would have got it now. Bailey Xuanhuan comforted. Wu Yu's fiery eyes swept through too many places, and the conclusion was still, no, no. In addition to the flames and the gods of all things, there is really nothing else. Many people who stayed in the 2nd level had long lost their patience and went up, so the 2nd level became more and more empty, and basically there was no need to dodge other people later. At this time, everyone had their own moods and continued to move forward in the vast sea of fire. Wu Yu sank to search, his eyes were a little tired, he closed his eyes and rested for a while, and then opened them again. The 7-star guardian formation was now flying close to the ground. Suddenly, he saw that the ground below seemed to have the fluctuation of the magic circle, which was very weak and could not be seen without the eyes of fire. The first thought in his mind was, why is there a magic circle here? The second thought was, danger. He immediately became alert and asked the Iron Wing 7-star bug to fly up quickly. However, it seemed too late. They had fallen into the range of the magic circle. The magic circle was set up long ago and looked like a trap. When Wu Yu reacted, he knew that this was not the natural magic circle of the ancient Soul Tower, but a man-made one. Someone set a trap here. It was a pity that he just closed his eyes, and it was just such a coincidence that when he opened his eyes, he had completely fallen into the depths of the magic circle. Otherwise, he might have dodged in advance. The magic array suddenly exploded, with extremely mysterious and precise power. In a chaotic situation, the magic array can easily defeat the cultivators or demons. Although the 7-star guardian array exists, The iron-winged 7-star bug is very tired today, and it was just exploited. The magic array did not blow up the 7-star guardian array of the iron-winged 7-star bug, but disturbed the 7-star guardian array, causing it to become the iron-winged 7-star bug itself. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, Wu Yu seemed to be trapped in a spider, entangled by countless spider silks, and in an instant, his whole body was tied up. He saw clearly that the magic array instantly turned into a huge spider. At the moment when the 7-star guardian array was disturbed and collapsed, all of them were tied up by spider silks and completely trapped in the spider. Wu Yu quickly used the magic to shrink the sky and the earth, but the spider entangled with him also shrank, completely trapping him to death. He wanted to use the fire eyes and golden pupils to burn the spider directly, but the level of this magic circle was obviously higher than Wu Yu expected. When he was tied up, a sharp spider silk pierced into his body. A color in the spider silk merged into Wu Yu's blood, and in an instant it was like a venom, making Wu Yu's whole body difficult to use magic, and the purple palace energy was completely controlled by the chaotic and entangled spider silk. This was equivalent to being completely entangled to death. Even he was restricted to death, let alone others. Nanshan Wanjiu did not dodge when he used the sky realm no trace, and was forced to be exposed from the invisible state. 7 people plus the Iron Wing 7-star bug are now completely trapped to death on this spider. It can only be said that the luck is really bad to fall into the trap set by others here. When they were trapped, they immediately heard the sound of applause and laughter, and someone was coming from a distance. "Old Wu, what should I do?" Nanshan Wanjiu looked at him. Emperor Yu and the others were also looking at Wu Yu. They had absolutely no choice but to pin all their hopes on Wu Yu. After all, after coming in, Wu Yu had completely become their spiritual support. Wu Yu knew it was difficult, but he had to let them retain hope, so he said calmly, "Just wait and see what happens, don't worry, I have a way." Just as he finished speaking, the people who arranged the magic circle had arrived. What surprised Wu Yu was that he didn't expect that there were so many people in this group, nearly 20 people, and they were also very mixed. The reason why I said mixed was because there are sea monsters, ghost cultivators, and many Taoists here. Basically, they are all messengers from all nations this time. Wu Yu had read the information before and recognized these people, but not completely. However, as soon as these people came out, he basically had an impression of the most important ones. With his current memory, it was not a big problem to recognize those more than 20,000 people. Big. His eyes glanced quickly. If he remembered correctly, these people came from several places. First, the most obvious ones are a few demons, and they are demons from the sea area and the Sea of Death. Secondly, there was an old man who seemed to be a ghost cultivator from Izumo country, alone. The third one is the sword cultivator empire, most of whom like to use swords, and 2 people from the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire. Fourth, there are several people from Baolazhi. These 4 forces are all comparable to the top strength of the Biming Empire. Among them, the demons in the Necromantic Sea are still the sworn enemies of the Biming Empire. I really don't know how these people met together and even set up traps together. The fact that they appeared at the same time clearly meant that this was the magic circle they had set up together. Emperor Yu was worried that Wu Yu and others would not recognize these people, so when they appeared, he quickly introduced them to Wu Yu in secret. The demon in the Sea of the Dead. This is the floating spirit demon lord. In the Sea of the Dead, the floating spirit demon is second only to the demon lord of the dead. It has huge power and its body is the floating spirit behemoth. Here there are 2 giant floating spirit beasts. The smaller one is named Ling Ai. It is at the 3rd level of the 3 catastrophes realm. It is the son of the floating spirit demon master. The older one is the biological brother of the floating spirit demon master, named Ling Han, and his strength has reached the 6th level of the 3 disaster realm. The other demons are all subordinates of the Fulling Demon Lord, and their strength is around the 4th and 5th level of the Dao realm. The strength of this group of monsters in the necromantic sea alone is far greater than that of Wu Yu and his group. The old man from Izumo country is actually a wandering old man named Yuan Zejun. Today's dazzling dragon spider silk array must be arranged with him as the main body. Izumo country is a big country of ghost cultivators, but following them is really surprising. The remaining ones are the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire and Baolezi, both of which are monastic empires that quite reject the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. They think highly of themselves and feel that without the ancient emperor, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom would be no different from them. The two people in the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire are a pair of twin sisters. The elder sister is named Xianxing and the younger sister is named Xianchen. Their father is the Xianyang Sword Emperor and they are the top 3 powerful men in the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire. They are all very strong, they are all at the 5th level of the 3 disasters realm, and they have practiced Taoism for nearly 300 years. Xianxing and Xianchen are indeed twin sisters. Their appearance is indeed very similar. They are both charming beauties. They are wearing sword robes. Although they are close to 300 years old, they look like they are in their 20s. Like a girl, she is as enchanting as a peach. Under the sword robe, her front and back are curved, and her face is smiling, which is particularly attractive. Among them, the elder sister is more charming, while the younger sister looks a bit colder, but her figure is actually more hot. Hot. The last group of people is Bailey's. The young man in the middle is the young master of Bailey's Donjus. Donjus is the second largest area in Bailey's, and its domain owner is also the top expert in Bailey's. The others are Lei Bao, Lei Han, Lei Xiao, Lei Xing, etc. They are all subordinates of the Donjus territory lord, and their strength is at the 5th level of the Dao realm. Donjus young lord Lei Suifeng is older than me. 100 years old. The realm is the 1st level of Dao realm, not 2 genius. In fact, Wu Yu basically knows these 4 groups of people. The first group of people, the undead demon clan, all had gray and black skin. Ling Ai and Ling Han were giant floating beasts that looked particularly majestic, but also very cold. The second group of people, Yuan Zejun of Izumo Kingdom, did not speak and fell behind, but they were the ones who arranged the magic circle. The third group of people, the sisters from the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire, carried long swords on their backs and wore star sword robes. They were so charming that they dazzled Nanshan Wanjiao. The fourth group of people, Bao Leizi, a thin young master of Dongyuzi, Lei Suifeng, led a group of tall and powerful men with upper body covered with thunder and lightning. So, what do they want to do when they surround themselves with smiles on their faces? Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1062. At this time, 4 groups of them stood in front of Wu Yu and others with smiles on their faces and clapping hands, while Wu Yu and others were completely imprisoned. The Yuan Zejun realm is also the 6th level of the Dao realm. It is quite powerful. He has put a lot of effort into setting up the magic circle. It is difficult for Wu Yu and the others to break free at their current level. They are all too young. Emperor Yu heard that Wu Yu said that he had a way, so he felt supported in his heart. His expression remained unchanged and he said, "You guys arranged this dazzling dragon spider silk array to capture the tortoise, the god of all things. All of you are familiar friends, the giant floating beast Ling Ai Ling Han, Lord Yuanzu, Xianxing Xianchen, and the young master of Donjus. Remember the domain name of this website Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow." The first thing he said was to declare that he knew this magic circle, and the second thing was to say their names. In fact, it was also a kind of shock. It meant, I know you, and the Yanhuang people will know what you do to me. Unless they are killed. Of course, they would definitely not dare to do this. Unexpectedly, after they listened, everyone looked at each other with smiles on their faces. The giant floating spirit beast Ling Ai nodded and said, "It's a great honor that Emperor Kairu actually knows us, but there is one thing that Emperor Kairu guessed wrong. Our magic circle is not prepared for the gods of all things. It is prepared for the Yanhuang tribe. It has been set up here for several days, and all I have caught are small fish. I didn't expect to catch a big fish today." This sentence is very unfriendly. He didn't hide it at all, and directly stated that they set up this magic circle to deal with the Yanhuang tribe, and they had even succeeded in doing so before. It's just that what was captured was not the emperor's son, but other Yanhuang tribesmen. Xianxing from the Xianxing Kong Empire that day laughed sweetly and said, "Today is our biggest gain. In fact, the emperor must be very curious, why can our group of people get together? Let me explain the confusion to the emperor. They all have one thing in common, that is, we all hate the Yanhuang tribe, especially the emperors and daughters of the Yanhuang tribe who claim to be superior to others. Sorry, Emperor Yu, I am talking about you. Speaking of big fish, Emperor Yu is very famous in Yanhuang. Although his strength is not as good as that of many emperors, his reputation is unparalleled in the world. In terms of the size of big fish, Emperor Yu is almost second only to Emperor Yu. Of course, we don't dare to offend Emperor Yu. Lei Suifeng from Bao Lazi laughed loudly. He seemed to have a rough personality and didn't hide his smile very much. Xianxing from the Xianxing Kong Empire that day was very close to Wu Yu and the Emperor's son. Although she had the strength of a swordsman, she was also more charming as a beauty. She had a soft voice and winked her charming eyes and said, 3 days ago, we caught I have a son of Emperor Sheng. At first, he was just like you, fearless, unchanging, and even insulted us. But later, after we had a meal, he knelt down and kowtowed to beg for mercy. It looked very pitiful. After all, when has the noble emperor ever suffered such injustice? Emperor Sheng's son had fought against Wu Yu before, so of course Wu Yu had an impression of him. When Xianxing was talking, a mirror appeared in the hands of his twin sister Xianchen. The mirror projected some three-dimensional pictures at this time. You could see that Emperor Sheng and a group of people from the Yanhuang tribe were beaten to death. It was too horrible to watch, especially when Emperor Sheng was stripped naked. When the scene started, he was already kneeling on the ground, kneeling in front of a group of them. After 10 breaths of time, almost every one of them was in front of Emperor Sheng. After several slaps on the face, Emperor Sheng was allowed to leave, and the scene ended accordingly. Absolutely, insanely humiliating. After Emperor Yu and others read it, even if he and Emperor Sheng were not on good terms, their faces turned red at this time, and their eyes showed deep murderous intent. As for Chu Fenjiao and the others, they were a little angry and scared, and their anger returned. Angry, but if you think about it carefully, why did they show themselves the miserable situation of Emperor Sheng? It was clearly to scare them and make them experience the cruelty and humiliation. Moreover, they would probably use the same methods to deal with Emperor Sheng. On the Emperor's body. After reading it, Wu Yu still didn't understand this group of people. Are they crazy? Seeing them sneer and strategize at this time, looking like they are in control of the overall situation, they seem to be in madness. The Emperor said angrily, "You guys have something wrong with their brains, right? How dare you humiliate the Emperor like this? Don't forget that this is the ancient Soul Tower, and the one you are humiliating is the son of my father, Emperor Yanhuang. Do this. You will get nothing, and it will definitely lead to death." Ling Yi of the undead demon tribe smiled coldly. When he arrived in front of the Emperor, he was only 1 foot away from him, and said, "You are wrong if you can't get anything. After we go out, show this picture to others. We'll see that the entire world of Jamfu will know our names, and our reputation will spread far and wide. Everyone in the world of Jamfu, except the Yanhuang tribe, can breathe a sigh of relief. How wonderful it is! As the Emperor's son, you must not understand it. Of course, you are also one of the emperor's sons who knelt down to beg for mercy. It can be seen that they really hold a grudge. The young master of Dongyus from Baolazii also cursed at this time. For countless years, our Lei Yuan clan has been working hard and trying hard. Every time, we have to spend our national power for the pilgrimage of all nations, and we have to pay tribute in person. The ancient emperor can't. We have never been given a chance to compete fairly with you. This time we finally have it. The ancient emperor wants to test your emperor, so we will be your test. We want to see how the emperor who was humiliated by us is qualified to be the emperor. The future emperor of Yanhuang? Haha. He dared to express his dissatisfaction and hatred towards the Yanhuang tribe so openly. This was his normal thought. Of course, Wu Yu himself knew that such a situation did exist, that is, the vast majority of the envoys from all nations who paid tribute my heart is dissatisfied. For them, this was the ancient emperor's personal permission to allow people to compete fairly and give them an opportunity to teach the ancient emperor's people and children. Some foreigners still did not dare to mess with the Yanhuang tribe, but some were like them. They even joined together to set up a magic circle to specifically deal with the Yanhuang tribe. Because they obviously know that the flame golden pearl is not prepared for them, and it is better to earn other things here, such as venting their hatred, such as fame. The emperor clearly knew their purpose. However, he still felt it was ridiculous. He said, "You are too naive. My father is not a saint. Do you really think that I will give you a so-called fair competition? I dare say that you people are doomed. Ancient soul, the tower is so big and mysterious that no one outside can see anything, and if you die inexplicably, no one will collect your body. Your relatives will not be able to argue over your death. All the dangers will make you lose money." Although Emperor Keiru didn't speak very directly, everyone could clearly hear what he meant. He felt that these people were too naive to do such a boring thing. You know, this is the ancient emperor's magical weapon. What can escape his eyes? To humiliate his son so much, he could make these people die silently by just creating anything. Judging from the pilgrimage of all nations, the ancient emperor was not a saint, and he would not be absolutely fair. This can scare them. However, if Emperor Sheng could say such words, maybe none of this would happen, and they might really be afraid. However, the problem is that they have already humiliated the emperor, and now there is no turning back. After Emperor Yu finished speaking, they looked at each other and had a discussion and argument with each other. But in the end, he didn't change his mind. Instead, he became even more ferocious. Instead of doing the first thing, he decided not to do it again. Xianxing still smiled and said, "From this point of view, you don't know the ancient emperor Yanhuang as well as we do. The ancient emperor has too many children. If he wants to choose a successor in the real test, it will definitely be he will be cruel. Since he established this ancient soul tower, he will definitely ensure fairness. Some incompetent children will be humiliated. It is because they have no ability and are not qualified to compete for the flame golden pearl. If you don't believe it, I will ask you. How many times have you seen the ancient emperor since you were a child?" The last question really made Emperor Keiru a little embarrassed. The key is, it's not just us. Now in the ancient soul tower, whoever catches the Yanhuang tribe will beat them up. Some methods are much darker than us. You are usually too arrogant and domineering. This is the ancient emperor. Let us teach you a lesson. Why wouldn't we do it? If you don't fall into our hands today, you will be beaten up by others tomorrow. In that case, you might as well give us this bad breath. The emperor is indeed aggrieved, but what the other party said is the truth. In the past, when there was no ancient soul tower, and when the ancient emperor allowed all nations to make pilgrimages, they challenged the Yanhuang tribe, and even the dignity of the emperor's sons, daughters, descendants, and children. He needs to redeem himself. The ancient emperor never seems to be involved in small disputes. Over the years, his deterrent effect has been greater. After all, these mortal disputes are too small for him. Wu Yu had known for a long time that there was no way Emperor Yu could change their minds. Now Wu Yu could only ask Emperor Zi to delay as much as possible. The Emperor's quarrel with them only made them more crazy. Wu Yu couldn't get a word in. Soon, they ran out of patience. Ling Ai's uncle Ling Han said, "Let's do it. Don't dream too much at night. We've already done it once. Let's enjoy venting our anger this time, feel it? You young people have suppressed your dissatisfaction for too long, which is not a good thing. They definitely won't kill people, but they will humiliate them in various ways and even defeat the Taoist heart, which is also very cruel. Especially for people with status like Emperor Ji and others, when have they ever suffered such a loss?" Female, "Leave it to me." Lei Suifeng of Bao Lazi stuck out his tongue, licked his lips, and looked at Chu Fengyu and Ye 1111 with a sneer. "You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1063. This time, they were too lazy to say anything to Emperor Yu. For them, because Emperor Kairu's name is bigger, it actually requires a little more courage. Before, when they confronted Emperor Kairu, they were just trying to convince themselves. Wu Yu could see that Lord Yuanzu was responsible for setting up the magic circle and did nothing. The other three groups of people were mainly young people, such as Ling Ai, Lei Suifeng and Xianxing Xianchen, who really did the work. Of course, they are only relatively young people. Their real age is much older than Wu Yu and the others. The youngest Lei Suifeng has been practicing Taoism for hundreds of years longer than them. "Then let me serve Emperor Yu." Ling Ai, the giant floating spirit beast, was standing in front of Emperor Yu. Sister Xianxing and Xianchen were eyeing Wu Yu. After all, Wu Yu was the second most important person here. When Xianxing looked at her sister, she smiled charmingly and said, "Okay, I'll leave it to you. I'll take care of this a wild boar." When Lei Suifeng saw that there were Xuanhuan and Bailey Xuanhuan, he said, "It's better to kill the two men left. One of them is the son of a legion commander, and the other father is just a human being. It doesn't matter if you kill me, the little palace master." The Libao behind him said, "Young master, try not to kill anyone. And sometimes, being killed is not the worst thing." "Young master, do you want me to try it?" "Okay, come on," Lei Suifeng said with a smile. One of those strong men walked out, and he locked onto Bailey Xuanhuan. In front of Ling Ai and the others, he immediately stood in front of Bailey Xuanhuan. He saw that his hands were entangled with surging thunder, and the blue in his left hand was the color of Se Lei is darker, and the color of his right hand is lighter. It is probably the difference between Yang Lei and Yin Lei. At this moment, without saying anything, he looked at Bailey Xuanhuan's frightened eyes, and punched Bailey Xuanhuan's abdomen with both fists. Suddenly, Bailey Chehan let out an earth-shattering scream. The sound was endless, and his whole body was wrapped by thunder. Looking at his pale face and trembling body, he was obviously in great pain, but he could not die. "Stop! I swear to God. If you don't restrain yourself, one day, whatever happened to you today, I will pay you back tenfold," Emperor Yu roared angrily. "Pa!" Ling Ai slapped him hard on the face and said with a smile, "Shut up, you can't protect yourself." He was really brave enough to dare to slap the emperor. Wu Yu really saw the determination of these people. On the other side, Lei Suifeng seemed not to have heard the angry roar of Emperor Shui. He now stood in front of Chu Fengjiu and said to Lei Bao, "Uncle Bao, you are not the most explosive, but you have to look at me." He stretched out his hands and put them on Chu Fengjiu's chest in the face of Chu Fengjiu's desperate gaze. He raised and lowered his hands. Chu Fengjiao let out a miserable scream. Next to him, Xuanhuan was also furious, but another thunder demon immediately appeared. Shi Zhan and Na lay the same method as a leopard made Xuanhuan's eyes turn white and speechless. Chu Fengjiao was already crying so hard that he was almost convulsing. For her, there is no greater humiliation than this. Beauty, are you going to use the same method to me? Nanshan Wanjiao was still talkative at this time, and he looked at Xianxing with a lustful look. Xianxing smiled charmingly, stretched out his hand and took out a sword. The tip of the sword was pressed against Nanshan Wanjiao's lower abdomen, and he said softly, "I'll cut it off, will you be unhappy?" "Oh, then it will make you regret it," Nanshan Wanjiao said with a smile. He is not afraid of any humiliation. This is his characteristic. After all, he has suffered enough since he was a child. The same is true for Wu Yu. He will not give in at all. Xian Chen, who was exactly the same as Xianxing, was standing in front of Wu Yu. She had the same sword in her hand, which was blue and dotted with stars. It should still be a spiritual Taoist weapon, but it was at least on the same level as Beiming Emperor Ke. She putting the long sword against Wu Yu's chest, the tip of the sword had penetrated half an inch. "Does it hurt?" Xian Chen asked. Wu Yu smiled and said, "Even if you pierce a few holes in your upper body, don't make me frown." Xian Chen said, "I understand, so there is only one way to make people like you bow down, and that is to make the people you care about suffer. Lei Suifeng, don't you think this girl here has more characteristics?" Over there, Lei Suifeng was touching Chu Fengjiao. When Xian Chen called out, he looked at Chu Fengjiao, whose face was full of tears, and then looked at Yezixi. He smiled and nodded, saying, "That's natural, so I don't want to stay behind. Of course, I have to enjoy the good things at the back." With that said, he had already arrived in front of Yezixi, and it was obvious that he wanted to use the same method as Chu Fengjiao to deal with Yezixi. "I say it again, I will repay you tenfold." Everyone present, Emperor Kaira gritted his teeth again and said, "Snap." Every time he said a word, Ling Ai smiled and slapped him. Here, Xian Chen holds the sword in both hands, Lei Suifeng is next to her, and Yezixi is next to Wu Yu. At this time, Lei Suifeng was smiling. He deliberately did not look at Wu Yu and said to Yezixi, "Little girls, have you been waiting for a long time? Don't worry, hello, brother will be here to serve you soon. Are you just a ghost cultivator with no background? Today, you are favored by your brother, and you will follow him and be his little brother in the future. Slave, how is it?" His smile can be described as extremely vulgar. Yezixi's eyes were cold and she didn't say a word, but those eyes could kill someone. In fact, she is the only one who can get out of this Xianlong spider silk array. She can get out of here by turning into black sand, but Wu Yu knows that it is useless for her to get out of here. A grain of black sand will be more obvious here, but if facing a situation like Chu Fengjiao, it may be necessary to be like that. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. When Lei Suifeng was about to take action, Wu Yu looked at him sideways and asked, "Lei Suifeng, do you believe that I can kill you within 3 breaths? Lose your life?" Hearing this, Lei Suifeng laughed, "Then I look forward to it, you better watch it, this wretched fellow actually wanted to humiliate Yezixi. In fact, this is definitely Wu Yu's reverse scale at the moment. Suinkan's heart is very sinister. She really knows Wu Yu and knows that no matter how she hurts him, he will not react, but if she hurts Yezixi, the effect will be different, so she is just watching the show at this time. Maybe everyone regards what Wu Yu said as a joke. Even Ling Yi stopped to watch the more exciting show here. Tear. Suddenly, Lei Suifeng stopped moving. He frowned and looked at Wu Yu with a distorted face, showing an extremely horrified look. Then in the next moment, his body suddenly exploded as if countless blood holes had been opened. Blood rushed out of the surroundings frantically. In a short moment, Lei Suifeng turned into a dried corpse. Young Master, Lei Bao, Lei Jun, Lei Wang, Lei Xing, and others were stunned at this moment. They saw that behind Wu Yu's original body, another Wu Yu appeared. That Wu Yu had blood-red eyes and white hair. He held a blood sword in his hand, and the other was a huge black knife. There was even a noisy human head hanging on the black knife. That's right, they failed to trap Wu Yu's devouring body. Wu Yu was going to use this devouring body as his only way, but Lei Suifeng angered his reverse scale. He did what he said and made the young master of Dongyu's die directly within 3 breaths. After all, this guy's strength level is only the first level of the 3 disasters asking the Wei realm, and the blood-stopping sword can kill him in an instant. You know, even Ling Yi and the others didn't dare to kill people, but this time, Wu Yu was more ruthless and decisive than them. No matter what the identity of the young master of Dongyu's was, he died directly. Lei Suifeng's last expression was very wonderful. He died when he was most relaxed. Maybe he looked at Wu Yu desperately at the end, but there was no way. Who asked them to start first? At this moment, Xian Xing and Xian Chen were so scared that they immediately stepped back and stayed away from Wu Yu. The others were also shocked for a moment. Wu Yu saw that since he had killed one, he shouldn't be polite. So his swallowing body suddenly locked his eyes on Ling Yi, the weakest floating spirit beast in the crowd. Ling Yi slapped Li Daizi a few times. This was the moment of pride. The death of Lei Suifeng made him feel a little uneasy. Ling Yi, watch this beheading show carefully. Wu Yu's sky-devouring body smiled coldly, and his movements were extremely fast. In the moment when everyone reacted, he suddenly chopped his own head with a knife. If he chopped others, someone might react to stop him, but he looked like he was committing suicide, so everyone was stunned again. Until everyone saw that the knife passed over the neck of the sky-devouring body, but it was like chopped on a blank space, and then suddenly, Ling Yi's head flew out and fell into the sea of fire below, and was quickly swallowed and evaporated, leaving the headless body in the sky, spraying blood and falling down. Killed 2 people at once, and both of them were of noble status. One was the son of the Lord of Donjuz, and the other was the son of the Lord of Fuling Demon, both of whom were future successors. Their status was also very high. At least the group of people in Bailey Ize was led by Lei Suifeng, while the group in the Dead Sea was led by Ling Yi and Ling Han. Although Ling Yi was young, his status was not worse than Ling Han. Ling Yi, now it was the turn of the people in the Dead Sea to be stunned. They never expected that the 2 people they were assigned to protect would die now. They all died at the hands of Wu Yu. Maybe they didn't dare to kill Wu Yu, but they acted quickly and accurately. Compared with their previous slow methods, the contrast was too great. To be honest, Li Daizi, Xuanhuan and others didn't expect that Wu Yu would kill people as soon as he attacked. Xuanhuan and Bailey Xuanhuan originally lost half their lives, which was extremely miserable. Of course, although Chu Fengjia was physically comfortable, her heart was devastated. At this time, seeing the person who humiliated her bleeding to death, the death was very miserable. Of course she let out a breath of anger. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1064. After Ling Yi's inexplicable death, for a brief moment, the group of them stood there, completely confused. Including Yuan Zhejian, Ling Han, Lei Bao, and other top powerhouses, who are either at the 6th or 5th level of the Dao realm, any one of them can defeat Wu Yu. In fact, for them, after leaving the ancient Soul Tower, they will face more serious punishment, especially Bao Lazi. They are not like Ling Han, the biological brother of the floating spirit demon lord. Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body is actually quite mysterious. At least his opponents can't see through it at all, so that they frighten Wu Yu a little. Perhaps there is no one more stupid than you in the ancient Soul Tower. Emperor Yu is the one chosen by the ancient emperor, the future Emperor Yanhuang, but you are not very discerning and use the same method to deal with Emperor Sheng. I can only say that it is a pity to deal with Emperor Kairu. Since Ling I offended Emperor Kairu first, I will send him to the west first. Then everyone can still continue, and I want to see if you can. Of course you don't believe that you can survive today, so I have no choice but to tell you, we'll see. Wu Yu's statement that the emperor's son was the one chosen by the ancient emperor really frightened them even more. In fact, they had heard similar remarks. When they saw Emperor Yu, they were very excited, because Emperor Yu could make them more majestic. But now, when Lei Suifeng and Ling Yi died, in the dark, it seemed to confirm Wu Yu's remarks. Fart. Since we have an internal decision, why are we doing this ancient soul tower test? Ling Han calmed down and had locked onto Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body. It seemed that he was going to take action. As for Lei Bao, they have completely lost their sense of proportion now. Thinking that the punishment they are about to face may be death, they are all thinking about how to tell the Lord of Donges about this matter after they get out. Wu Yu smiled and said, when the new emperor succeeds to the throne, everyone must be convinced, and there must be a grand ceremony to announce it to the world. Otherwise, do you think that the tributes from the pilgrimage of all nations will be returned to you casually? You guys. Not so naive. Ling Han said, Wu Yu, you dare to speculate on the ancient emperor's thoughts and spread random rumors. This crime is equivalent to falsely spreading the imperial edict. Aren't you afraid that the ancient emperor will make you irreversible? Wu Yu laughed again and said, so, since I have the guts to say it, is there no basis for it? Come on, don't talk nonsense. If you have the guts, don't you want to humiliate us? Go ahead, you are all anyway, you probably won't survive today, so why should you be afraid? At this time in the conversation, Wu Yu completely controlled the rhythm. What he said was so bold that it made Emperor Yu feel ashamed, but he probably heard that Wu Yu was also delaying time. The more he asked the other party to continue, the more people on the other side were frightened by him. For example, Xianxing Xianchen, they didn't dare to come up again when they saw that the other two were dead. Yuan Zejun himself didn't take action, and now he doesn't even more will not move, leaving only the Sea of Necromancer and Thunderstorm. The people of Bailey's are now depressed because they have no way to explain to the Lord of Donjus. It will definitely not work to humiliate Wu Yu unless Wu Yu is killed. However, Wu Yu is the most famous figure in the Yanhuang tribe. If they really want to kill him, the Yanhuang tribe will probably not let them go, so they are very confused now. Anyway, the so-called humiliation seems to be the most meaningless now. People are dead, what's the use of humiliation? The same dilemma is also faced by Ling Han. Wu Yu was more ruthless than them, killing people directly. They want to explain that the only way is to kill people, but they don't dare to really kill the Yanhuang people. Ling Han thought for a while and said, anyway, let's kill someone to pay for it with life. It was you, Wu Yu, who killed me. Yes, of course I don't dare to kill Emperor Yu, but since you have this clone, why don't you let your clone return to the West, go first. This time he has decided to do it himself. Anyway, he still has to give some explanation to the floating spirit demon master. Now Wu Yu's only threat is this clone. He must destroy the clone first and then decide whether to give Wu Yu to him. Kill him and truly avenge Ling Han. That's right, let's get rid of his clone first. I'm here to help, too. With Ling Han taking the lead, the others in Baolei also have goals. They didn't know the reality of Wu Yu's clone, so they were so cautious. In fact, with their strength, any one of them could crush Wu Yu's clone. Ling Han took action himself, plus the four of Baolei, and Xianxing and Xianchen were still behind. The sky-swallowing body looked dangerous. Wu Yu tried his best to delay, but he could only delay it until now. What should I do? Emperor Yu was still a little panicked. He won't die, but he is worried about Wu Yu and the others. At least, when Nanshan Wanjiao and Yazixi died, no one from the Yanhuang clan cared about them. The ancient emperor has long said that it is possible and can kill people. Facing Emperor Yu's inquiry, Wu Yu still smiled and said, "I don't need to be nervous. We've reached this point. How could I not have a solution? Yes, the opponent is indeed very strong. They are all old guys who cannot be dealt with. Those who can be dealt with by Wu Yu have already sent them to heaven. However, there are a lot of strong people in this ancient soul tower. For example, there are many strong people in the team of the Baiming Empire, specifically for the Emperor of the Underworld to protect his princes and princesses." When Ling Han approached Wu Yu's clone, a voice suddenly came from far behind him. "Stop it!" This is the voice of an old man, very empty and gloomy, but in just 3 words, it feels closer and closer. When Ling Han and the others turned back in horror, they suddenly saw a group of people in black robes. This group of people in black robes are from the Baiming Empire. Among them are many top old cultivators, including Princess Yuyan. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. Princess Yuyan finally breathed a sigh of relief and smiled easily when she saw Wu Yu. After all, Wu Yu looked unharmed. That's right, he told Princess Yuyan the first moment Wu Yu was trapped. Through the connection of the soul control blood array, Wu Yu can talk directly to Princess Yuyan without relying on any external objects. In fact, he and Princess Yuyan have had a certain contact in the past few days. He also knows that Princess Yuyan is still in the 2nd level, and they are also looking for the Yanhuang gold pearl. Wu Yu absolutely trusts her, so he also told her that he saw the Yanhuang gold pearl in the 2nd level. This time they encountered a trap. They were at a distance, but not too far. Wu Yu asked her to bring people to come as quickly as possible. There happened to be strong men from the Baiming Empire around her. The 2 strongest ones were the younger brother and sister-in-law of Emperor Minghai, and the uncle and aunt of Princess Yuxi. They were King of Shadow and Bei Yuji, both of whom were top figures in the Baiming Empire. King of Shadow was only a few years younger than Emperor Yu, and had reached the 7th level of the 3 disasters asking the way, and his wife Bei Yuji also had the 6th level of the 3 disasters asking the way. The 7th level of the asking way means that you have survived the 2nd catastrophe, Yin Fire. In fact, this is much stronger than the 6th level. So with King of Shadow here, Ling Han, Yuan Zijun, and Bao Lazi and a group of people are no longer a threat. King of Shadow didn't know about the soul-controlling blood array, but he knew that Princess Yuxi had a good relationship with Wu Yu, which was the key to bringing the Baiming Empire and the Yanhuang ancient country closer. So when they heard that Wu Yu and Emperor Yu were in danger, they were still willing to come quickly. Wu Yu had been stalling for time from the beginning, waiting for their arrival, but they went too far in the middle and wanted to attack Yazixi, so he could only let the devouring heaven body come out first to shock the other party, and had to kill 2 people. Of course, Wu Yu did not regret it. Now he finally got help, which meant that they were completely safe. Now it was Ling Han and the others' turn to be dumbfounded. They confirmed that Wu Yu had no way to ask for help, because they were completely dead. They could not imagine that there was such a thing as the soul-controlling blood array. Of course, they did not expect that the rescuers were not the Yanhuang clan, but the Baiming clan. Ling Han was still very tough and said, "This is a conflict between me and the Yanhuang clan. Why do you Baiming clan interfere, King of Shadow?" The King of Shadow laughed and said, "I want to stop you beasts from the Dead Sea from doing anything. I'll give you 10 breaths of time. If you don't get out of here, don't blame me for being merciless. Yuan Zijun, you are alone, but you are quite courageous. Do you need me to break your magic circle?" The first sentence was said to Ling Han, and the latter was said to Yuan Zijun. In the Yamafa world, such as the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire and the Bailey Ize, they are all very self-righteous and hate the Yanhuang clan. The Baiming clan has an average relationship with the Yanhuang clan, but it is not bad. There are also people like the Fanhua clan, who have a good relationship with the Yanhuang clan. There are even many people in the Fanhua fairyland who intermarry with the Yanhuang clan. Yuan Zejun didn't talk much to begin with, but now that he saw the situation, he said nothing and directly lifted the Xianlong spider silk magic circle and left without even saying goodbye. He is indeed a weirdo. However, Wu Yu and others were free because of this. He moved quickly and surrounded everyone with the 7-star guardian formation again, and then quickly retreated. On the Baiming clan side, several old men quickly protected Wu Yu and others behind them, and they were out of danger. When the Baiming clan took action, Ling Han and others looked gloomy, but they really couldn't do anything. When Xian Xing and Xian Chen saw this situation, they were about to leave. Nanshan Wanjiao suddenly said, "Why are you two beauties so anxious to leave? Didn't you say you wanted to test me just now? I am very happy to accept your test. Xian Xing was fine, she didn't do anything, and Xian Chen seemed to say very little, but her words really disgusted Wu Yu. However, Wu Yu didn't stop them. They were still very strong compared to Wu Yu. Wu Yu used the power of others to escape, but he didn't want to use the power of others to show off. So Nanshan Wanjiao was a little unwilling and let them go. "We'll meet later. I'll return some of the things to you too," Wu Yu said to their backs. They paused for a moment, then left. The only people left were the people from Bailey Ize and the Dead Sea. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1065. The people of Baolei are even more ruined now. They know that they have no chance at all, so they can only say a few harsh words. "Our young master is dead. This debt will definitely be settled with you, Wu Yu. It's still a long time. The ancient soul tower is so big. There is always a chance to see you again. I don't believe you can be so lucky every time." Having said that, he finally left dejectedly. Only the people from the Sea of Death are left. Ling Han said, "Why, do you guys from the Baiming clan want to take the opportunity to kill us?" The Shadow King smiled and said, "Come on, I don't like your role yet. When you dare to face the yin fire instead of shrinking back, come and challenge me again. However, you people from the Sea of Death, you have done so many unscrupulous things, will Yinhuo let you go so easily? Think carefully about what it would be like to be burned to ashes." As he said this, he waved to Wu Yu, meaning that Wu Yu should follow them and leave Ling Han and the others alone. In fact, although the Shadow King did not take action, his verbal attack on Ling Han was still very scary, because Ling Han was facing the yin fire level and had been stuck here for decades, fearing and fearing. This is his biggest threat at present. The Shadow King's words will destroy his Taoist heart. However, no one cared about how he felt at this time. Wu Yu and others passed him and left with the Shadow King and others. Of course, he had to thank the Shadow King and others. As for Ling Han and the others, this was their own fault. After Wu Yu and Emperor Yu thanked the Shadow King smiled and said, "How do you two feel after experiencing this trap?" The Emperor said, "The weak will be bullied. Only the truly strong can have dignity." The Shadow King nodded and said, "Yes, dignity is indeed difficult. Wu Yu, what about you? It is said that you can kill the young master of Donjas and the son of the floating spirit demon master." Thinking. Wu Yu thought for a while and said, "Maybe I think it may be that youth is not a reason to be weak. At your age, if you are stronger than us, we old bones won't have to live anymore," Bei Yuji said with a smile. In fact, Wu Yu was thinking about something else, and that was the ancient emperor's Dao Palace. Maybe that was the key to making them strong quickly and truly capable of walking sideways in this ancient soul tower. Now, they are really like everyone. It's okay to bully. Emperor, you seem to have thought of it too. Are you going to come with us next? This little girl, Yu Kang, is thinking about you. But I don't worry about letting her come with you. Her father personally told me that I must protect her, King Yueying said. It was impossible for Yan Huangju and the ancient Emperor Dao Palace to go with them, so Wu Yu refused. Of course, Princess Yuking must have known in her heart that it was certainly inappropriate for the two to go together. Wu Yu was about to refuse, when suddenly Emperor Yu said, "It is too difficult for us to find the ancient emperor's palace alone. Can we ask them to help us? Let's look for the ancient emperor's palace together." Wu Yu didn't expect that he was so eager to find the ancient emperor's palace that he was willing to tell others the secret. He asked, "If there are too many people who know, it wouldn't be good if they all go to the ancient Emperor Dao Palace." "Don't worry, there are magic circle restrictions in the ancient emperor's palace. Only the blood of the emperor's sons and daughters can open it and bring outsiders in. Even if the outsiders know it, it will not help. As for the other emperor's sons and daughters, even if they know the location, they know that we may not be able to find this ancient imperial palace, so we might as well let them help us." Wu Yu looked at it and said, "There are a few young people from the Baiming clan here. If they can find them, they will definitely want them to come in." Emperor Zi was aware of this matter. To be honest, this was from the Yanhuang tribe, and he was not willing to do so. However, asking others to help would definitely require sacrifice, so he said, "Let's do this. I can only allow your friend to help. Princess Yuking can go in, but other princes and princesses cannot. If they don't agree to this condition, there is really nothing they can do. If I bring too many outsiders in, I will also be condemned and reviled by the Yanhuang tribe after I go out. Of course, the premise is that there is a need. Maybe this ancient imperial palace really exists and we can really find it? If Princess Yuking can do it, that would be great." After communicating with Emperor Yu, Wu Yu responded to the Shadow King and said, "Senior, we would like to work with you because there is one thing that we want your senior to help with." The Baiming clan were also very optimistic about Wu Yu. After all, Wu Yu had a good relationship with them. The Shadow King asked, "If there is anything I can do for you, just tell me and don't talk to us." Wu Yu directly told the Shadow King and the others that there might be an ancient emperor's palace here and that they were looking for it. After Wu Yu finished speaking, their faces were shocked and a little weird. Wu Yu was confused. At this time, the Shadow King and Bei Yuji actually laughed, and Bei Yuji among them said, "Of course we have heard of the name of the ancient Emperor Dao Palace. You are really looking for the right person to come to us about this matter." Wu Yu felt happy. It sounded like the other party had something to tell him. He quickly asked, "Why did the senior say this? Could it be?" He was very confused. In fact, Wu Yu could know what Princess Yuki had seen here, but Wu Yu could know everything about the ancient emperor's Dao Palace. So Princess Yu Chang was also confused at this time, but Wu Yu learned from Princess Yu Kang that while they were looking for the flame golden pearl, Bei Yuji had left several times to explore some dangerous places around. They only came back to communicate with King Yueying, so Princess Yuking didn't know what the couple discovered. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Sure enough, Wu Yu heard Bei Yuji say, "A few days ago, in the second level of the Soul Tower, I entered a sea of scorching fire and traveled a long distance. It seemed that I had seen the depths of the sea of fire. There is a golden palace, but the surrounding magic circle restricted me from entering. I tried many methods but failed, but that should indeed be the only palace I saw in this ancient Soul Tower, the only possible one. It must be the place where the ancient emperor's palace was located," Bei Yuji said. "That is definitely the ancient emperor's Dao Palace." Emperor Yu was excited. He actually just casually asked if they could help. He never expected that they might know the existence of the ancient emperor's Dao Palace. This is interesting. You said that the ancient emperor's Taoist palace was preached by the ancient emperor himself. It had a huge effect on the ascetics in the Yuan Shen realm. But there is a problem. Even if I take you there, there is a Dharma next to the palace. Even if the formation exists, we can't get in, Shadow King said. Emperor Yu was confident about this. He said, there are restrictions set by my father. As far as I know, only I can open the magic circle and bring people in. Hearing this, Shadow King and others all laughed and said, this is a great good thing. Although it is useless to us old guys, if we can make these young ones listen to the ancient emperor's sermons, that's really a great benefit, so why wait, just go. The surprise really came too suddenly. In order to prevent them from misunderstanding, Wu Yu had to stand up at this time. He said, Senior, there are not many people the emperor can bring in, especially foreigners. If the Yanhuang tribe outside knows about it, the emperor will definitely be implicated, so we may only be able to bring Princess Yuki in, and the other princes and princesses, I'm sorry. These princes and princesses were all acquaintances of Wu Yu, and they had a competitive relationship with Wu Yu. They were also very excited, but they suddenly became speechless. Princess Yume said, we are the only ones who know the location of the ancient emperor's Dao palace. Why should we lead the way for you? We can only go in alone. We were the ones who saved you just now. Don't you know how to be grateful? The other princes and princesses are not willing to give in. The key is that if Princess Yuking gets a great fortune and gets rid of them, their future will be in danger. Emperor Yu lowered his head and said, everyone, I'm really sorry. I also have to take into account the opinions of the Yanhuang people. The ancient emperor's sermon is too important. After all, you are from the Baiming people. It's not like they are all my confidants. I am the most important. We can only bring Princess Yukin in because she has a good relationship with Wu Yu, and the others are sorry. Of course, the emperor's son is also a necessary condition for the ancient emperor's palace. Without him, no one from the Baiming clan can enter. The princes and princesses were quite noisy at this time, but Wu Yu and the others did not say much, waiting for the Shadow King's reply. Their faces showed bitterness. This was their dilemma. In fact, Wu Yu also had his own small thoughts. Of course he wanted to help Princess Yuking. If she could use this opportunity to surpass her brothers and sisters, it would be great if she could become the new emperor of Baiming in the future. So no matter what, there was no way he was going to let her siblings in. Can't we have one or two more people? Shadow King asked. Emperor Yu shook his head and said, the Shadow King should be able to understand my difficulties. Using the ancient emperor's things to empower others is indeed a sin and can easily be condemned. Their meaning is also quite obvious. If Shadow King and others don't accept it, then they may have to rely on themselves. At this time, the Shadow King discussed with several old men, and finally he said, okay, so be it. I also understand your difficulties. If we act together this time, we can make a good friend. If the Emperor can do it in the future, to become the existence in your dreams, I hope you will take more care of us, Baiming. Emperor Zi was of course delighted when he received a positive reply. He nodded quickly and said, thank you King Shadow. If such a day comes, I will never treat Baiming Empire badly. They take a long-term view, and there is no need to be unhappy with Emperor Keiru at this time. Moreover, they just put a little effort into it, and it was already great to be able to make Yu Chong gain something. Although it is a bit unfair to others, this is the result of Yukin's interpersonal relationship, and they know it well. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1066. After hearing this decision, everyone who should laugh laughed, and those who were unwilling to accept it, of course, would make a scene. The remaining princes and princesses were very depressed at this time. No, why can you scene go, but we can't? Le Dizzy, Why are you so mean? We didn't save you this time, do you still have face? Shut up, first, why is it you seeing? Then may I ask if you have any friendship with Wu Yu and Le Dzi? Second, it was us who saved them, not you. The Shadow King scolded them a few times, and immediately shut them up. Several princesses were still crying. They looked at Princess Yu Xing and Wu Yu, but they all hated them, but now that the Shadow King was angry, they really didn't dare to speak. Of course, the contradictions within the team are irreconcilable. They must exist. Wu Yu felt that the Shadow King and the others were still very clear. It seemed that they seemed to have contributed more, but in fact, if there was no Le Dzi, they would not have the opportunity to let Princess Yu Xing also have a share. Furthermore, maybe the Emperor Minghai had taken care of them. They also valued the relationship with Wu Yu and Le Dzi. Even if they were doing a favor this time, if the two of them really became successful in the future, Bei Ming would also benefit, and they were just leading the way. Anyway, in this ancient soul tower, everyone was like a headless fly, wandering around everywhere, so it was better to have a goal to go to. Let's go. In order to avoid more trouble, the Shadow King directly sacrificed a warship. The warship was a top-level upper spiritual weapon. It was a black warship that looked like an arrow. It was black and long, and had great penetrating power. After Wu Yu and his men boarded the warship, they immediately felt that the warship was moving forward at a terrifying speed, penetrating countless flames, because Bei Yuji had just been to this place a few days ago, so she was still very familiar with the location. Le Dzi was very nervous. He was worried that there was no ancient emperor palace there and that they could not find it. At this time, Princess Xuanhuan had already mixed with them, while the other princes and princesses of the Baiming clan were angry and went to the other side, with ugly faces. To be honest, they were a little happy at the beginning, but now they hated Wu Yu. They didn't understand why King Yueying wanted to do such a disadvantageous thing. Inside this warship, you can see the sky-high flames outside constantly passing by, and you can also see other rock turtles. For people like King Yueying, it is really convenient to shuttle in the second level of the Soul Tower, and there is no need to worry at all. We are almost there. After about a few hours, King Yueying asked them to get ready. At this time, Wu Yu saw that there was a sea of flames in front of him, which was filled with various colors and constantly exploding. It was very chaotic inside, and the temperature was burning to the extreme. Wu Yu estimated that among so many young people, he might be the only one who could hold on. The flames here are so hot that without us, even if you know it is this place, you can't get in, King Yueying said. When the warship entered the sea of fire, seeing the dazzling flames constantly flying behind him, Emperor Yu knew that he could not enter this place, which also blocked other emperors and princesses to a certain extent. This arrow-like warship pierced into the sea of fire at a terrifying speed, and then continued to go deeper. When it reached a certain position, it was basically an endless sea of fire. The flames turned into liquid, forming a surging torrent, constantly stirring and impacting, as if to burn all living things into ashes. We are almost there, Bei Yuji nodded slightly and looked ahead. This place is really too big, so even if you have come in once, you may not be as accurate as old cultivators like them to find this place for the first time. After Bei Yuji finished speaking, they clearly felt that the surrounding flames were more turbulent, and then at a certain moment, they suddenly became still, and then they came out of the sea of fire. In front of them was a fairly blank spherical space. In the core of this spherical space, there was a small golden palace. The palace was shrouded in golden and black clouds and mist, and it was not clear, but at this moment, it was a kind of sacred power, as if the real immortal was in it, making people want to worship. Ancient Emperor Dao Palace. It's here. Le Dzi was a little speechless, excited, and shocked looking at the golden palace. Maybe this palace is exactly the same as the legend. After he confirmed it, Wu Yu was relieved. but he still had some doubts. Could the ancient emperor's preaching really have the effect of greatly increasing people's Dao realm? If that was the case, why didn't the ancient emperor bring all his children here to make them stronger than others? Then Wu Yu also saw that around the ancient Emperor Dao Palace, there was a spherical transparent light circle that surrounded the ancient Emperor Dao Palace. This was the magic circle restriction, which could only be opened by Emperor Yu and other emperors and princesses. Okay, this is it. You guys hurry in. We'll stay outside and wait for you to come out. Try to be quick and don't take too long. We still have to find the Xuanhuan gold pearl, the Shadow King said to them. This position was not threatening, and everyone had already come out of his warship. Emperor Yu couldn't wait any longer. Wu Yu and others followed him, and Princess Yuqian also followed. As for the princes and princesses, they had been taught a lesson long ago. Now they stayed where they were, with only envy and jealousy in their eyes, and of course hatred. In a blink of an eye, they were in front of the light circle. Emperor Le was fully focused. He cut his finger with a weapon and dripped his own blood on the magic circle. The drop of blood quickly melted into it. Wu Yu felt that this was a bit similar to the door to the ancient demon world, which was also opened by sucking blood. And the light circle seemed to have a hole in the middle under the blood-sucking curse. As the blood spread, the hole continued to expand. When it expanded to a size that people could enter, Emperor Le rushed in without saying a word. Wu Yu and others followed in. The moment they all entered, the opening began to shrink. It didn't take long for them to be completely trapped inside. Looking up again, the expressions of the princes and princesses were of course more exciting, full of anger. And the ancient imperial palace was right in front of them. Led by Emperor Yu, everyone followed him, all filled with excitement, and immediately headed for the gate of the ancient Emperor Dao Palace. From the outside, they could vaguely hear a voice from inside, and it was definitely the voice of the ancient emperor. The gate of the ancient Emperor Dao Palace was open, as if the ancient emperor was inside, and Wu Yu was a little nervous. Came to Changsha today to watch the game. Here's my wish, come on, Chinese team, beat the Koreans. 2 more chapters today. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1067. /U003C/strong/U003 Course, the most excited person was Emperor Yu. With reverence for the ancient Emperor Xuanhuan, this place was once his dream place, a place he had always dreamed of. He knew that his father must know that he had come to his Taoist palace at this time. This even made him burst into tears. When the two identities of immortal and father are put together, it is indeed very confusing. In the eyes of the emperor's sons and daughters, their father is a myth. He rarely appears in their lives, but he never disappears. His mark is always around. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. So Wu Yu can understand his current excitement a little. As for himself, there is more speculation and awe between him and the ancient Emperor Xuanhuan, and it may also be a kind of hostility. Before coming here, he thought clearly that he and the ancient emperor were not at the same level now. If the ancient emperor had any ideas, he always felt that they would not be so complicated. Instead of shrinking back, when the opportunity came, it was better to challenge bravely, so he chose to enter the ancient emperor's palace. Of course, he was not sure that he would definitely gain something. Maybe this was designed by the ancient emperor for his children. Even if they listened to the same Tao, they might gain completely different things. Standing at the door of the ancient emperor's palace, it was golden inside. Emperor Le knelt deeply at the door, then took the lead to step over the threshold and walked in. Xuanhuan, Chu Fenjiao, and others hurriedly followed him. The blow that the group of people brought to Xuanhuan and others before was too great, especially the Taoist couple Chu Fenjiao Bailey Xuanhuan, who had not said much until now. If Wu Yu had not killed Lei Suifeng on the spot, the conflict would probably be even greater. Bailey Xuanhuan secretly questioned why Wu Yu took action before Lei Suifeng attacked Chu Fenjiao. Wu Yu could only say that the Baiming clan had not arrived at that time, and it would be impossible to end the situation if he took action in advance. Bailey Xuanhuan had experienced it personally, so of course he had nothing to say, but Wu Yu estimated that he would still feel unhappy and resentful. Wu Yu, Yu Xing, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi and other 4 people also stepped into the ancient Emperor Dao Palace together. After entering, the ancient Emperor Dao Palace was not particularly large. The ground and the surrounding walls were all made of gold, magnificent and magnificent. There were many ancient magic array reliefs on the other side. With their current realm, as long as they took a closer look, they would immediately feel dizzy, as if they were trapped in a vortex, which was completely useless for the Tao. However, at this time, the 8 people including Wu Yu would not look at these things that they could not understand at all. Their eyes were focused on the front, which was the position opposite to the gate of the Taoist palace. There was a huge person sitting on the dragon throne, which was more than 3 feet tall and wore a golden and black dragon robe. A righteous and magnificent aura came directly to him, bringing a magnificent impact. At that moment, Wu Yu almost thought that the person sitting there was a real person. The left eye of the person was golden, like a golden sun, emitting a scorching light, and the right eye was black, like a black vortex. When the left eye burst out with dazzling light, the right eye swallowed the surrounding light, like a bottomless abyss. Father, even Emperor Le thought this was a real person, and he knelt on the ground in panic. Chu Haoan and the others did the same. However, Wu Yu used his fiery eyes to take a closer look and found that this was actually a statue, not a real person, but it was also the statue of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang. Moreover, the lips of the statue were actually moving. When one listened carefully, one found that it was indeed preaching. The more carefully one listened, the louder the sound would be. Boom! Unexpectedly, after they came in, the door behind them closed automatically. Wu Yu's heart skipped a beat. To be honest, he was still a little awed. However, nothing else happened. He also saw 9 golden cushions on the ground in front of him. These 9 cushions were under the statue of the ancient emperor. The statue of the ancient emperor was slightly tilted forward. If one sat in front of the statue and looked up, one could find that the ancient emperor was looking down at him. The oppression was quite strong. Listen carefully. Wu Yu patted Le Dai's shoulder, asking him not to be so excited and to focus on the ancient emperor's sermon. Le Daizu realized that this was a statue. There was a cushion under his feet. He had heard the content of the ancient emperor's sermon. He also knew that the opportunity was not to be missed, so he first sat cross-legged on the cushion in the center. On the left was Wu Yu, and then to the left were Princess Yuxi, Yezixi and Nanshan Wanjiao. Chu Haoan and the others sat on Le Dai's right. There was a vacant seat at the end of their side. Fortunately, there were 9 cushions and 9 seats, otherwise there might not be enough seats. When Wu Yu sat down, he had already closed his eyes and devoted himself to the ancient emperor's sermon. To be honest, he didn't have as many special feelings for the ancient emperor as Le Daiza did, so he was actually very calm and listened to what the Yanhuang ancient emperor was talking about. If he found that what he said was different from what he thought, Wu Yu would definitely stick to himself. Of course, there must be something worth learning from the successful experiences of others. After all, it is said that no matter who it is, as long as they are at about this level, they can make great progress when they arrive at the ancient emperor's palace. This shows that his preaching is not one-sided and is truly suitable for the general public. It can even be said that he has grasped the core of the Tao and tells the truth of the Tao. Everyone's Tao is different, but there must be the same truth and the closest connection. Listen quietly. In the beginning, when I was not concentrating, the sound was actually very soft, but as I became calmer, I found that the sound became louder and louder, so loud that people were completely immersed in it, completely forgetting where they were and what was around them. Who is completely immersed in the world of Tao? The same goes for Wu Yu. What is Tao? Heaven, earth, and the world all exist because of Tao. The endless Tao, the eternal Tao, constitutes the heaven, the world, and the hell. Tao is everything. It is the gathering of cause and effect, destiny, rules, soul, etc. It is also time and space, and it is also the endless living beings. To become an immortal, you must stand at a new level and see the myriad worlds. Wu Yu listened carefully and found that what he told was basic, but it also made great breakthroughs in fundamentals. He had a lot of doubts about all this in the past, but after hearing this today, he was able to clear up his doubts. Filled in the blanks. Wu Yu's previous understanding of Tao was more self-centered. As he is, Tao is also his courage and his state of mind. But the deeper he goes, the more he stops and keeps accepting the ancient emperor. Continuous narration made him realize that Tao can have a larger scope, and self is only a part of it. The Tao is the same, but each person adds color to it with self. Tao can be reflected through the magic circle during the cultivation career. The reason why the complex magic circle can exert terrible power is because all the strokes in it are obtained by understanding the Tao of heaven and earth. After listening to it for half an hour, Wu Yu was completely immersed in it, and he was experiencing a wonderful change. In fact, he was on guard. He didn't trust what the ancient emperor said, but he didn't want to waste such an opportunity. He judged based on his own personal experience. At least so far, he did not feel any discomfort. On the contrary, he gained a lot from this sentence, and he knew clearly that this was exactly what he needed and what he needed during this period. It's confusing, especially when refining elixirs or drawing magic circles, it's hard to figure it out. It is difficult for mortals to help mortals practice Tao, so they can only record their own Tao in obscure ways through magic formations, alchemy, etc., but gods can understand the nature of Tao, at least in essence, giving Wu Yu a terrifying improvement. He knew very well why these Tao were useless to Emperor Yu, because Emperor Yu himself had already understood this step and wanted to go deeper, while Wu Yu and the others, from the realm of Yuan Shen to the realm of Taoism, had we need to clearly know what kind of Tao is complete. Xiangtian asked, that's exactly what happened. Wu Yu had already had countless doubts in his heart, but at this moment, the ancient emperor was like heaven, speaking with ease and ease, bringing enlightenment to others. An hour later, Wu Yu had already been completely immersed in it, forgetting everything. Only the realm of Tao was constantly growing. As for the extent of growth, Wu Yu himself did not know. He only knew that as the ancient emperor spoke more and more, the deeper he went, the more he knew. Many of his previous doubts were now easily solved, and he knew clearly that this itself was the most correct answer. Wu Yu even had an illusion, as if what the ancient emperor told everyone was different. What he said to him was all specialized, purely to solve Wu Yu's doubts, and what he said was all designed for Wu Yu. Basically, it was a continuous sermon that lasted for several days, even more than 10 days, or maybe more than 20 days. Wu Yu heard a lot of sermons from ancient times to the present, and there were tens of millions of words, or even more. He was blurry. In the middle, there are countless contents in his heart. These contents are constantly filling and breaking through. Those Tao are like pearls, embedded in his soul, and then integrated into his soul. God is undergoing an unprecedented transformation, gradually reaching incredible heights. What is the height? Wu Yu didn't even know it himself. Anyway, the ancient emperor was not over, nor was his increase in Tao. He was like a hungry beast, eating greedily with no intention of stopping. In fact, from beginning to end, Wu Yu didn't know how much time had passed. When he finally felt the happy ending at a certain moment, when he opened his eyes, he found out who he was in the ancient emperor's Dao palace. When he raised his head, When I turned my head, I was shocked to see the two huge eyes of the ancient emperor's statue, one golden and one black. The oppressive statue seemed to be pressing on the top of my head. At this time, Ming Long told Wu Yu that 22 days had passed since the first day he came in. In other words, nearly a month had passed since they had been immersed in the world of Tao. In this ancient soul tower, many things can happen in 22 days, such as the flame golden pearl being obtained. Of course, it's not necessarily the case. After all, they are still in the ancient soul tower, which obviously means that it is not over yet. When Wu Yu slowly opened his eyes, he found that the light in his eyes was different. He could not imagine that he was immersed in the world of Tao, listening to ancient Emperor Yanhuang speak continuously for 22 days without stopping for a moment. Moreover, ancient Emperor Yanhuang spoke very quickly. Of course, this was what the ancient emperor preached before, and it was part of his own cultivation. When he woke up, Wu Yu no longer had the idea of the ancient emperor preached specifically for himself. What they heard now was at best a recording session. When Wu Yu woke up, it was the time when his sermon ended. Looking to the left, Princess Yuxiang and the others opened their eyes almost at the same time. Wu Yu could basically see that whether it was Yezixi, Princess Yuxiang or Nanshan Wanjiao, they had made great progress. Even as good as himself. This shows that it was definitely not just himself who benefited today. On the other side, even Le Daizi, Xuanhuan and others had made a lot of progress, especially Le Daizi, whose eyes were covered with divine light. It was obvious that he had made such a great progress in the realm of Taoism, which led to such a huge change at this moment. Wu Yu saw the most important transformation from him, that is, confidence. He became confident. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. And it is the confidence that is rampant in this ancient soul tower. At this time, he knelt down to the ancient emperor again, and then said to everyone, I see, after so many days, after listening to a complete sermon, everyone has expanded their understanding of the Tao. Under the enlightenment of my father, everyone has made great progress, even an incredible progress. Only gods in the world can bring such great progress to others through preaching. Now that the realm of Tao has made such a great progress, everyone should not rush out. Use all the Wendao divine pills in your hands to see how far you can progress and how far your purple mansion Yuanli can reach. I estimate that many people have already reached the realm of the Tao of Three Disasters and the Way. The most important thing about my father's sermon this time is the Yuan Shen Dao. I wonder how much you have realized. The Yuan Shen realm has made great progress, and even the Yuan Shen Dao has been successful, but it still needs to be reflected in the way of strengthening the purple mansion Yuanli. Now their Yuan Shen is strong enough, and even has some transformation, entering a new world. Wu Yu still had a lot of Daoan divine pills left over from last time. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi also had some. Princess Yuxian was even more so. Emperor Minghai had given her a lot recently and seemed to be quite fond of her. Next, everyone was very excited and continued to sit cross-legged on the cushion, refining a large number of Dao Shendan, using the vast medicinal power to enhance the Purple Palace energy. Wu Yu was originally at the 6th level of Dao realm, and he was looking forward to what level he could reach now. This chapter is 4,000 words. /U003 sem /U003e. Event: receive a full red envelope and win a 10,000 UN prize. Special topic: preview of the hottest serialized novels. Book list: suspense and mystery, a basket of ancient tomb thrillers. Special topic: complete classics, no need to follow up. /U003c/m /U003e. If q.ste, read type, equal to /U026 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003c0, /U003cscr plus ipt src equals add/view, 8 equals h5 minus 01 backslash u003e backslash u003c slash scr plus ipt backslash u003e. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1068. Backslash u003c slash strong backslash u003eou focuses on himself. The Wendao divine pill he obtained from Emperor Na Yan last time, and he also robbed a lot of it later. He is considered to be relatively wealthy in this realm. The emperor himself is relatively poor, but he has been very popular recently. Many princes and ministers have sent a lot of treasures in order to close the relationship. Of course, the Xuanhuan divine pill is enough, and he also gave a lot to Xuanhuan and the others. With such a major harvest this time, he may feel that money is an external thing, and the strength of the entire team is the most critical. The increase in Tao realm is a difficult and slow journey, which is the real core of Taoism, but the increase in Zifu Yuanli is very simple. Wu Yu has extremely powerful refining ability, refining those questions one by one. The divine pill, the Dao Dao divine pill turned into a raging torrent of medicinal power, washing the whole body, and finally gathered in the Zifu, where it was swallowed up by the Zifu created by the great immortal technique, and was forged into the Zifu Yuanli. Wu Yu's Zifu is much more powerful than those in the same realm. Now that it has the support of the Dao realm, the meaning of the Zifu is even richer, and the degree of Zifu Yuanli it can control is also greater. Anyway, this is already a huge transformation. About a quarter of an hour later, he reached the 7th level of the Yuanshen realm. At this time, Wu Yu was a little stunned. He felt that he was still stable enough. He still had a lot of room. He could still refine more Dao Shendan. Even if he only had the Yuanshen realm now, other Yuanshen realms could. Those who couldn't bear many Xuanhuan Shendan, such as Xuanhuan and others, still used the Dao Yuanshen Dan at the beginning. Breaking through one level at a time, but obviously not yet the end. Wu Yu thought about it. He could feel the huge progress in the Tao realm in the past 20 days, and it was normal to break through 2 levels in a row with tens of millions of words. So, he continued to refine the divine elixir of asking questions. What he was depressed about at this time was that there were so many outlaw clones, tens of thousands of them. As the main body progressed, they would also progress. Where would there be so many Xuanhuan Dan to support them? In fact, that is the most expensive thing. Of course, this is just a worry for happiness. Seeing his strength increasing, Wu Yu naturally felt enthusiasm and excitement in his heart. Unexpectedly, only half an hour had passed, and he had already successfully reached the 8th level of the Yuanshen realm. At this time, Wu Yu felt that his Zifu Yuan power had grown a lot in the past. Zifu Yuan power was his weakness and his physical body was his strength, but now he has gradually felt that when the advantage of the physical body is lost, the advantages of Zifu Yuanli and Dao realm are even more obvious. After possessing the 8th level Zifu Yuanli in the realm of Yuanshen, although this is almost the same as the 8th level Zifu Yuanli in the realm of Emperor Yu, one is in the sky and the other is on the ground, but at least there is progress. It's just too much. The key is that after reaching the 8th level, like a miracle, Wu Yu still felt that he could make progress. This is absolutely incredible. That's right, for more than 20 days, every day is almost enlightenment, and every day is a leap of progress. If you can cross 3 realms in a row this time, it is considered normal. The progress of others is probably not less than this. Originally, 1111, who is at the 10th level of the Yuanshen realm, will definitely break through the limit this time and reach the realm of 3 disasters, and may even make further progress. He was very calm and began to continue refining the God-asking pill. He found that the control of his Yuanshen was still quite strong, and the Zifu Yuanli was completely under his control. It took about an hour this time to reach the target. He has reached the 9th level of the Yuanshen realm, but there is no doubt that he succeeded, and the process did not have too many twists and turns. Wu Yu even felt a bit scary, because he felt that his Yuan Shen still had enough control to control the current situation. The sudden increase in Zifu's energy makes it feel a little easier. He was still very relaxed, and even clearly felt that there might be room for upward impact. At first, he was a little unbelievable. Could it be that the ancient emperor's one sermon was really so terrifying, that it could make him rise from the 6th level of the Yuan Shen realm? Directly reach the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm. Wu Yu had never thought of such a huge improvement, because he felt that it was impossible from the bottom of his heart. Even he would need to spend at least 20 years studying magic formations to achieve this level of improvement, but the ancient emperor spent this time, shortened to 22 days. This is a gap of more than 300 times. Anyway, Wu Yu was completely confused. He knew that he had made great progress, but when he showed up from the Zifu realm, he still shocked himself. Of course, besides being shocked, he was ecstatic because he knew clearly that if he really reached the 10th realm of Yuan Shen, seriously, if he is one step away from reaching the realm of the three disasters, what kind of status will he rise to in this world of Jambu, in this ancient soul tower? Before this, he had been able to compete with the 4th level of the three disasters realm. This miracle made him excited and incredible. When he thought about how powerful he would be after leaving here, it was almost like a dream. He now has more doubts about the ancient Emperor Yanhuang. His preaching can bring him such great progress, so what exactly does he want to do? Now was not the time to think about these things. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and began to devote himself wholeheartedly to cultivation. Although his Zifu Yuanli was majestic, after all, he was still in the realm of Yuan Shen. A normal person could not even ask for the divine pill. None of them can be used, but he refined it hundreds and thousands of times until his Zifu Yuan power could truly sprint to the 3rd level. At the 10th level, it was only then that Wu Yu felt like there was a bomb buried in his body, which was not so easy to control. The Yuan power of the purple mansion transformed from a deer into a violent lion, as if it could escape control at any time. This was the arrival. A symbol of extremes, it would obviously take a period of time for Wu Yu to master such Zifu Yuanli perfectly. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Although the current 10th level is a little unstable, I have to say that being able to reach the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm within 22 days and sprinting through 4 realms in a row is simply a dream. After sprinting through 4 realms in a row, my current combat effectiveness. Wu Yu could only know that he was more tyrannical than ever before, but to what extent he didn't know. This is a unilateral improvement of Zifu Yuanli, but the physical realm has not been improved for a long time, so it is impossible to increase the combat effectiveness by 4 levels. When the physical advantage is reduced, facing opponents with deeper realms, is it possible? Maybe it will cross the 8th level. Wu Yu made an estimate and thought to himself, now, Zifu Yuanli has been greatly improved. Although the power of the Vajra indestructible body is still the same, it should be able to defeat the 6th level of the 3 disasters Dao realm. Yes, for example, the troops of the Flame Dragon Legion Captain Chu Yin. In other words, I am definitely at the level of a Legion commander now. I am confident that I can face Bai Yuji, the wife of the Shadow King, and Ling Han, the floating spirit beast from before. Defeat. Ordinary demon kings may not be my opponents. This is his confidence. Regardless of whether the combat power may be improved by 2 or 3 levels, this is actually a huge improvement, because when you reach the state of becoming an immortal, each level of improvement may take decades or even hundreds of years to others. Time. Even facing the existence of the 7th level of the 3 disasters realm and having survived the 2nd disaster, I can barely resist it. I will definitely not die. I will have no problem retreating from the Shadow King. He won't be so embarrassed when facing Emperor Yu. The most important thing is that my puppet and my sky-swallowing body can become stronger. They can catch up with the combat power of my body. If I can continue to make progress in the Vajra indestructible body or the somersault cloud, it will be even more terrifying. Wu Yu never expected that within 22 days, he would make progress that he found terrifying. Although he was one step short of reaching the realm of asking, he was actually very satisfied, because for anyone, one time breaking through the fourth realm is impossible. This is a miracle that has never happened since ancient times. He calmed down, and after he had done it, he started to look at the changes in others. If others still needed time, he might want to seize the time first and then challenge a few puppets. After all, for him now, iron is the winged 7-star insect is a bit weak. He estimated that Emperor Yu and the others no longer needed protection. At a glance, only Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were not over yet, and the others were already over. Princess Yuking was next to Wu Yu. Through the soul-controlling blood formation, Wu Yu immediately noticed that she was in less than 5 years. At the age of 10, he actually reached the realm of 3 disasters. It was already the 8th level before. This time I gained a lot. I succeeded in asking directly. What the ancient emperor told me happens to be the most puzzling question for me. Princess Yuking was also extremely surprised. It turns out that I am not the only one who has made terrible progress. Ever since she was inflicted with the soul-controlling blood formation by Wu Yu, she has really been blessed with good fortune. This time it was also because of Wu Yu that she was blessed with good fortune again. After seeing the current state of Princess Yuking, Wu Yu could only say that in the future, in the Hades Empire, there is no prince or princess who can compete with her. Of course, she actually broke through to the 3rd level, but there was a major improvement in it, and the real effect was better than Wu Yu's. Wu Yu's words were different from others. In fact, he was younger than Yu Chang and his combat power was several levels higher than hers, so he was still very satisfied. On the other side, everything that is born is a miracle. Emperor Yu's son was indeed worthy of being the biological son of the ancient emperor. He had made extraordinary gains and was directly promoted to the 2nd level of the realm of 3 disasters. Dare I ask, how can other sons and daughters of emperors compete with him? When they were at the age of Emperor Yu, they were at the 6th level of multi-spiritual inquiry. Xuanhuan, Chu Fenjiao, and Bailey Xuanhuan all made huge gains. All of them succeeded in the Yuan Shen Dao and reached the realm of 3 disasters. Their gains were no worse than Wu Yu's. In the end, Wu Yu was probably the only one who failed to succeed. Of course, his original realm was also the lowest. /U003 sem /U003e. Event: receive the full red envelope and win the grand prize of 10,000 yuan. Special topic: preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: mystery and suspense, ancient tomb horrors. Special topic: complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003c/m /U003e. If q.ste, read type, equal to /U0026 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003c0, /U003c SCR plus IPT SRC equals add/view, 8 equals H5-01 /U003e /U003c SCR plus IPT /U003e. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1069. /U003c/strong /U003 Izixi was originally at the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm. She had not finished yet, but Wu Yu saw that she had obviously reached the 2nd level of the 3 disasters asking Dao realm. She might be trying to reach the 3rd level, but it seemed that the situation was a little worse. The ancient emperor's preaching this time was mainly for the Yuan Shen asking Dao. After that, the effect would be much worse. It is worth your collection. LWXS 520. Sure enough, after the end, she was still stable at the second level of the asking Dao realm. Xuan Hecat had been sleeping in her legs since the beginning. It was the least shocked at this time. Although it was a pity that she could not rush to the third level of the asking Dao realm, Wu Yu and Yazixi felt that it was very good to reach the second level of the asking Dao. After all, she was practicing the way of ghost cultivation, and the Yanhuang ancient emperor was the person she hated the most. She could choose to accept it in her forbearance, which was a certain test in itself. And until this moment, she was unwilling to look at the statue of the ancient emperor. In such a place, she was actually very tortured in her heart, so she didn't say much since the ancient soul tower. Wu Yu touched her head and nodded slightly. Her eyes were a little red. Wu Yu knew the hatred in her heart at this moment. Choosing silence in front of a deadly enemy requires courage in itself, and Yazixi's progress shows that she is already very extraordinary. Relying on Xuan Hecat, the purple palace energy achieved by the 10 wheels of Ksatigarba ghost nerve that is close to being successfully transformed, and the slowly improving hell reincarnation body, she can even compete with the 5th level of the realm of Taoism. And Nanshan Wanjiao finished before Yazixi, and he certainly won't disappoint. Although he was a little far from the realm of Taoism at the beginning, this time it was still smooth and stepped into the first level of Taoism. Sure enough, Wu Yu became the only one who did not reach the realm of Taoism. However, this can't stop him from being the strongest here. Even if it is Nanshan Wanjiao, relying on the 9 turns Emperor immortal body and various magical powers, as well as the phantom demon eye, he is not Wu Yu's opponent. Of course, he should be stronger than Yazixi and can barely compete with the 6th level of Taoism. With their current lineup, Wu Yu could only say that if he met the group of people from Linghan like Xiufeng again, Wu Yu could definitely fight them head-on and would not let them bully him. Although Le Daizi and his group were still not very strong, they were at least in the Dao realm, and it was no problem for them to move freely in the ancient Soul Tower. In fact, Le Daizi was worried about the flame gold pearl and was already a little impatient to get rid of it. Wu Yu, can you tell me what level of opponent you can defeat now? Le Daizi looked at Wu Yu with fiery eyes. In fact, he had a desire to possess this Dao palace privately, but for his own future, he was willing to let Wu Yu and others come in together, which showed that he had enough ambition and courage. He knew very well that even if he made great progress, he would not be able to get the flame gold pearl, and he could only rely on Wu Yu. Now that he has arrived at the Dao Palace and has undergone a transformation, if he does not get the flame gold pearl, it still means nothing. You can defeat the 6th level, Wu Yu estimated. Awesome. You really did not disappoint me, Le Daizi smiled. Chu Fenjiao and his group had made great progress, and the previous haze was swept away. They even thought that they could almost compete with Wu Yu. When they heard Wu Yu say this, their necks shrank. They still didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of Wu Yu. Since my father has given us such good fortune and such strength, we must get the Yanhuang gold pearl this time, otherwise it will be a shame for such a good fortune. We have wasted too much time. Now, let's go out and find the Yanhuang gold pearl. Let's work together to create miracles and glory, how about it? The Emperor's son has an order, of course, we will go through fire and water without hesitation, Xuanhuan said loudly. At this time, the heroes were excited. Wu Yu also smiled and said, with this good fortune, I am confident. This time I will definitely not let the Yanhuang gold pearl slip away. They have such a terrifying transformation, and now they can't wait to show it and let the world see their transformation. Ancient Soul Tower, so many strong people. When they walked towards the closed door with excitement and reverence, the door opened by itself before they could think about it. They rushed out and were laughing. Before they took 2 steps, the smile on Emperor Li's face disappeared, because he saw a person in front of him. He was inside the magic circle of the ancient Emperor Dao Palace, while King Yueying and others were outside the magic circle and were frowning now. The person inside the magic circle was Emperor Yu. He looked indifferent and watched Wu Yu and others walk out. At this time, he saw Emperor Li at a glance. Unexpectedly, he smiled and said, "Father is really careful. If you are listening to the sermon, I want to go in and observe. I can't open this door. Otherwise, maybe I can get something." Wu Yu dumped him before. Maybe he looked everywhere, and finally came back. He knew this place, so it was normal to come back here. It's just that Wu Yu didn't expect it before, and he was too happy to end the question, and he didn't expect it even more. Now, although everyone has made great progress, he still has no confidence in dealing with the top existence like Emperor Yu. It should be said that there is still some gap. Princess Yuyan, congratulations. As a foreigner, you can also hear the ancient emperors preaching that the sons and daughters of the Yanhuang emperor dream of. However, your elders have been waiting for you for a long time. Go quickly. Emperor Yu spoke to Princess Yuyan first. Wu Yu knew that he must want the Shadow King and the others to leave, but the Shadow King and the others had to wait until Princess Yuking, so the two groups of talents faced off here. At this time, Emperor Yu wanted the Shadow King and the others to leave here first. Of course, I spoke to Yu Chong first. To be honest, Wu Yu didn't want to implicate King Nether Shadow and the others. After all, Emperor Yu was much stronger than King Nether Shadow. So when Yu Kang was in trouble, Wu Yu asked her to go first. He now has some confidence to fight with Emperor Yu. The other party would definitely not dare to directly kill someone. Okay, Yu Yan was obedient. At this time, Emperor Yu opened the passage to the magic circle and asked her to go out first. After she joined the Biming tribe, the Shadow King said goodbye to Wu Yu first and then left. If they needed help, Princess Yuking would tell them, so they didn't stop. I'm lucky this time. I came to my father's Taoist palace. I didn't expect that my eldest brother is here. But my eldest brother no longer needs to listen to this kind of sermon. We have something else to do, so we'll leave first. Emperor Kair bowed his hands and said respectfully. Emperor Yu said, I have already reached the second level of the three disasters Dao realm. I think when I was your age, I was only at the fifth level of the Yuanshen realm. The gap between me and you is indeed quite big. Emperor Yu just smiled at his emotion and didn't say much. He wanted to leave the magic circle with Wu Yu and others first, and leave the Sea of Fire. Emperor Yu didn't stop them, but watched them go out, but after going out, there is a troublesome problem, that is, the Sea of Fire outside. Considering the current level of the Emperor and the others, it is not easy to penetrate the Sea of Fire. It seems it's not easy for you to get out. Forget it, I'll give you a ride. Emperor Yu was right behind them. As he was speaking, a giant bronze cauldron appeared in his hand. The giant cauldron was very old. It was even rusty and full of traces of time, as if it had just been unearthed. Tianling Taoist weapon, the ancient soul-suppressing cauldron. Emperor Zi narrowed his eyes when he saw it. He knew how powerful this Taoist tool was. Because this is the heavenly spirit Dao weapon above the Shangling Dao weapon, surpassing 50 magic arrays, and this spirit-suppressing ancient cauldron has a total of 800,000 magic circles, which is already considered to be a top-notch existence among the Tianling Dao weapons. Of course, when Wu Yu faced a Taoist weapon of this level, he was also under tremendous pressure. He had just made great progress and faced a terrifying opponent like Emperor Yu. He was indeed a little discouraged. However, Emperor Yu did not deal with them. Meaning, he moved very quickly, and the ancient soul-suppressing cauldron became extremely huge, instantly covering a group of them. Wu Yu could escape by himself, but it was useless with everyone else inside. Don't panic, I'm just taking you out, Emperor Yu said lightly, then accelerated his speed, and passed through the Sea of Fire in the blink of an eye. They were not threatened by the Sea of Fire at all. The ancient soul-suppressing tripod was very cool. What on earth does he want to do? Emperor Zi was a little irritated. Listen to him, he thinks that the flame golden pearl may appear next to us, so he wants to follow us, Wu Yu said. Other than that, there really is no other reason, Emperor Yu said. Nanshan Wanjiao smiled and said, it seems that this Emperor Yu has low self-esteem and is not confident in his own strength. Instead, he believes that you are the one chosen by the ancient emperor. I believe that no matter what the situation is, the golden yellow pearl will eventually fall to the ancient emperor here. He doesn't have to worry about looking around, he can just keep an eye on you. Especially after getting the sermon this time, he will probably be more convinced that the ancient emperor should take care of you. In fact, as his son, I think the resentment in his heart is still very heavy. After all, it seems that he is completely the person who does not receive the attention of the ancient emperor, but he is the greatest among all the emperor's sons and daughters, Wu Yu said. During their short secret conversation, they soon left the Sea of Fire and came to the fire-breathing world outside. Emperor Yu released them. As soon as they came out, Emperor Yu said, "Thank you, brother, because it's in the ancient Soul Tower. I've been wasting a lot of time recently and trying to find the flame golden pearl. I won't talk to my elder brother anymore. I'll have a long talk with him when I go out in the future." With that said, the emperor was about to leave. "Don't leave in a hurry. I want to be with you. After all, the chance of getting the flame golden pearl is very small when I'm with you. Of course, wherever you want to go, just go. I'm not far away. No matter what the danger, I will still help," Emperor Yu said with a smile. /U003 SEM /U003E. Event: receive the full red envelope and win the grand prize of 10,000 yuan. Special topic: preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: mystery and suspense, ancient tomb horrors. Special topic: complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003C/M /U003E. If Q.STE, read type, equal to /U0026 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003C0. /U003CSCR plus IPT SRC equals add/view, 8 equals H5-01 /U003E /U003C/SCR plus IPT /U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1070. Emperor Yu's son, this is a bit like relying on his own strength and being shameless. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. After all, he is the eldest son of the emperor, almost the representative of the Yanhuang clan in this ancient soul tower. Wu Yu knows him well, and knows that there is a special relationship between him and the ancient emperor, which is definitely stronger than the relationship between Emperor Yu and the ancient emperor. Because he has been practicing Taoism for nearly 500 years, and after more than 100 years, he failed to overcome the last two disasters and catastrophes, that is, death and disappearance of Taoism, hundreds of years of hard work, in vain. He has already smelled the smell of death, so the Yanhuang golden pearl is even stronger for him. But he has no confidence in himself, because he feels that the ancient emperor has never valued him, but Emperor Yu has shown signs everywhere. With his status, he dared to put it down and follow Emperor Yu to do things like picking up bargains, which already showed that he was willing to sacrifice everything for the Yanhuang gold pearl. It was quite dangerous to confront such a person head-on. After Emperor Yu finished speaking, when Wu Yu and the others turned around and left quickly, he seemed to disappear from the spot. He had top-level Taoism and the strength of the 8th level of the realm of Taoism. Many of his Taoism skills were at the pinnacle. When he was hiding beside everyone and following everyone, only Wu Yu's eyes could scan his existence, but he changed very quickly and erratically. He appeared and disappeared mysteriously and was difficult to distinguish. This was also a peak ability. As he said, Wu Yu and the others could not get rid of him. At this moment, when everyone had the strength of transformation, Emperor Yu followed behind them. This naturally made Emperor Yu and the others feel very unhappy. They wanted to devote themselves to finding the Yanhuang gold pearl, but now with him, it seemed that they had no chance to get the Yanhuang gold pearl at all. Is there any way to get rid of this Yudizi first? Don't think too much. No matter how much progress we make and how many levels we cross, we are no match for Yudizi, who is almost the same age as our grandfathers. Under his nose, if we want to get rid of him, and there are so many of us, it is indeed harder than climbing to the sky. Xuanhuan and the others were a little dejected. They had just transformed and were in high spirits, but who knew that they would be hit hard as soon as they came out. No matter what, we should follow the original goal and attack the third level of the Soul Tower first. What do you think, Wu Yu? Yudizi made a decision. From his questioning tone, it seems that Wu Yu should be the real decision. Give me 1 day first, and then go to the third level of the Soul Tower, Wu Yu said. Although he didn't know what Wu Yu was going to do, Yudizi naturally chose to trust him. As for this day, he could continue to wander around in this world of fire, and he might not have discovered anything. At least they could find out if there was any major news in the ancient Soul Tower during the past 20 days. In fact, after Yudizi agreed, they were shocked to find that the Wu Yu following them was no longer the previous one, but another one with white hair and bloodshot eyes. This Wu Yu was wearing a black brand, with a strange and handsome appearance. His temperament was similar to Nanshan Wanjiao, but more gloomy, like a demon. Compared with Nanshan Wanjiao, he did not have the kind of carefree temperament, but had a more evil look. Such a Wu Yu, following everyone, they all felt strange. It was as if this was another person. Only when they talked did they know that this was actually the same person as the real Wu Yu. And Wu Yu's body was in the floating life tower. His purpose this time was to challenge the puppet of the floating life tower. Now the body of Tiantan is still at the level equivalent to the 4th level of the realm of asking questions, and is not the opponent of the new puppet, so Wu Yu simply came in and challenged alone. This was the reason why he asked Yudizi for a day. Of course, it actually didn't take a day at all, because for every day outside, there were 5 days here. 5 days were enough for him to challenge stronger puppets. At the beginning, Wu Yu was a little nervous. With his current realm, the 10th level of Yuanshen realm, if it was normal, the strongest of the 9 puppets that appeared in the floating life tower should be equivalent to the 8th level of the realm of Taoism. The level of Yudizi was also considered a super strong level that was rare in the entire world of Yanfu. If it could appear, it would mean that the value of the floating life tower was really very high. Even at this point, Wu Yu didn't see that the floating life tower was willing to really let him conquer it. It still seemed like a mystery until now. A Taoist instrument with an 8th level puppet in the realm of Taoism, or even more, this value is no longer comparable to ordinary Tianling Taoist instruments. Of course, the target of Wu Yu's challenge this time was not the puppet of the 8th level of the Dao realm. He knew that his huge leap in battle was all based on his physical body and magical powers. Now that his physical body and magical powers had not improved, he could only rely on the improvement of the Purple Palace energy, and with only his body, challenging the puppet of the 6th level of the Dao realm was a rational choice. He was soon relieved. Because, after he chose to challenge the puppet, puppets really appeared in all the 9 magic arrays. The last black magic array and white magic array were puppets of the 7th and 8th levels of the Dao realm, respectively. At this time, Wu Yu couldn't help but ask, if I advance 2 more realms, will there be a puppet at the 10th level of the realm here? That is the level closest to becoming an immortal. The higher up is the immortal, that is, it is said that the puppet limit of Fusion Tower is probably the limit of mortals. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Of course, Wu Yu would not naively think that there would even be a fierce puppet of a god, because that could not exist. Immortals cannot be created by other immortals. Even if the original owner of the floating life tower was an immortal, that would not be possible. But the ultimate is the limit of mortals. The value of the floating life tower exceeds all the heavenly spirit Taoist tools. It is probably the legendary Holy Spirit Taoist tool with 1,000,000 magic circles. With excitement and a strong will to fight, Wu Yu crossed over to the 5th level puppet of the Dao realm this time and directly challenged the 6th level puppet in the purple magic circle. Although he had challenged it before, it was a white magic circle, and now it seemed as if it had fallen back 2 levels, but Wu Yu was not worried, because this was a symbol that his weaknesses had been enriched, and he never had to worry about the progress of his magical powers and physical body. His eyes penetrated the light on the magic circle, and he could vaguely see that in the magic circle at the 5th level of the Dao realm, the puppets inside were somewhat similar to the iron-winged 7-star insect. They also looked like insects. Judging from the outline, they should be mantis, slender and sharp. The next purple magic circle seemed to have light appearing from the inside out. When Wu Yu chose to challenge this magic circle, the light began to shine, and then the other magic circles disappeared. When this magic circle shone to the extreme, the light began to shine. It did not disappear, but suddenly changed into a ball of green fluorescent light. When Wu Yu saw what the puppet looked like clearly, he was a little surprised. Firefly. From the iron-winged 7-star insect to the mantis-like puppet just now, this is equivalent to the 6th level of the Dao realm. The existence that is stronger than the first two is actually a kind of firefly. A closer look shows that except for the fluorescent part of the tail, the other parts of this firefly are made of the same steel as the iron-winged 7-star insect. In terms of material, it should be better than the iron-winged 7-star insect. And all the magic circles drawn on it, it is also much more complicated and more numerous than the iron-winged 7-star insect, especially the fluorescent part of its tail, which is obviously a combination of many magic circles. Although this firefly does not look as cool as the iron-winged 7-star insect. It's cool, but in fact, the realm has to rise 1 or 2 levels. It is conceivable that the puppet array that exists should be more special and tight. At this moment, the firefly has launched an attack on Wu Yu without saying a word. His first change surprised Wu Yu enough. Because it looks like it's transforming into a clone. First, some kind of magic circle operates, and the light on it becomes stronger, covering its whole body. The entire firefly turns into a wonderful, crystal clear light green light group, and then the light group quickly disperses. In 2, after 1 is divided into 2, the light does not decrease, but the number increases. Then, it continued to split into 2, even 3, 4, and 5 at an extremely fast speed. The separated light group continued to split. After about 10 breaths, Wu Yu lifted. You can see from the top of your head that the entire fusion tower is densely packed with fluorescent lights from fireflies. This scene does look wonderful, and the fluorescent pattern seems to be nothing more than beautiful, but however, Wu Yu felt that in the series of changes, these countless clone-like fluorescent lights contain terrifying power. Of course Wu Yu was not only negligent, but with his powerful Zifu Yuan power, he transformed into a giant under the green fluorescent light in the first moment, and then transformed into an immortal ape, holding the 9 tribulations in his hand. The furnace-burning sky pillar. At this moment Wu Yu can already unleash the full power of the burning sky pillar. When he was just getting ready, as he expected, the fluorescent balls all over the sky suddenly hit him like meteors. The seemingly gentle fluorescent light came into contact with him. The moment it arrived, an incredible destructive power was born. This destructive power was very light, just like a light touch, but it could cause terrible damage. Wu Yu was protecting himself with the 9 palaces immovable formation at this moment. But apparently he found that the Zhigong Fuda formation could not hold on at all, as if it was gradually melting. Even if the powerful Zifu Yuan Li now supports the 9 palaces immovable formation, After 10 breaths, Fen Tianzi was still broken.